Hey everyone, today we'll be taking a look at the Stormhosts of the Stormcast Eternals. I suppose they're fairly similar to the Space Marine chapters from 40k, and similarly define the type of warriors that they are. This is based on their personalities, preferred methods of combat, and even the role that they may have held in their past life. As always, we really hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please be sure to hit the like button. Here we go! When Sigmar first created his immortal human force, he knew that any fighting force that was to retake the mortal realms would require a robust command structure. The God King would place his warriors into the Stormhosts. These were gatherings of warriors numbering in their thousands, chosen to be a part of these groups for reasons only known to the God King himself. As the number of warriors within the Stormhosts has grown, these have each become a formidable army within its own right. The number of Stormhosts that have been created is only known to Sigmar, with only a few of these having currently been spotted amongst the mortal realms. Whilst every Stormcast is blessed with an amount of Sigmar's divine power, none have been imbued so richly as the Lord Celestins. These warriors have been chosen by the God King personally to lead his great armies. These are both a strategic mastermind and a formidable warrior. With rousing speeches that will rally his warriors, the Lord Celestins will lead their army into the enemy. The greatest of these lords will be named the Lord Commander, the supreme leader which will lead the armies of the Stormcast Eternals to bring Sigmar's will into existence. A command structure of the Stormhost plays a vital role within ensuring its effective function. These roles are filled with those that have graduated from the various temples of the officer cadre. These warriors are trained to be effective leaders of Sigmar's mightiest weapons. Graduates of these temples are warriors that are selected to join the ranks of the Lord Celestins, the Lord Relictors, amongst the other Lord and Knight roles within the army. Upon their death on the battlefield, these lords and knights must of course first pass their reforging process to ensure that their souls are still worthy of becoming a Stormcast Eternal. These warriors must then also pass previously faced trials of the officer temples to once again claim their roles within the Stormhost. The structure of the Stormhosts is broken into numerous chambers, consisting of differing warrior types, which might best complement each other and best achieve the objective at hand, with a chamber being the largest tactical formation employed by the Stormcast. These chambers will consist of a number of different Stormcast warrior cadres that allow for flexibility whilst remaining powerful enough to overcome every foe. There are a number of differing chambers, which are available to the different Stormhosts. However, their number varies from host to host. Chambers are led by a Lord Celestin and a subordinate number of officers to manage the rank and file units. These fighting units are called retinues, numbering depending on the type of warrior within a range of 3 to 20 and are led by a warrior named a Prime. There are a number of different chambers within the differing Stormhosts, and the most frequently used amongst these is known as the Strike Chamber. This is then split into 3 differing forms: the Warrior Chamber, which is the most common, the Harbinger, and finally the Exemplar. Strike chambers form the main component of Sigmar's Stormcast Eternals, and at full strength, the Lord Celestin commanding this chamber can command as many as 500 Stormcast. This force is certainly capable of delivering a blow to even the mightiest of hordes. Due to the scale of the wars that are being waged across the mortal realms, it is often required that Stormhost chambers will be deployed to multiple battlefields simultaneously. The warrior chambers form the very heart and soul, the very backbone of the Stormcast Eternal army. This chamber contains the very heavily armoured units that form the anvil for the foe to smash against. The Harbingers are the contrast to their well-armoured kin. These are the eyes and ears of the Stormcast force. They are capable of rapid manoeuvrability and are often used to deal the first blow to the enemy. Finally is the Exemplar Chamber, and is simply put the best of the Stormcast warriors. This elite reserve force consists of a majority force of paladin retinues and provide the proverbial hammer to the warrior chamber's anvil. The Sacrosanct Chamber are the most magically attuned to the magic of the storm of their kin. They are warrior mages that wield the raw power of the heavens in the name of Sigmar, and are capable of hurling thunderbolts, summoning meteors, and even wielding potent aetheric weapons. These weapons are capable of sending even the most vile of demon princes back to whence they came. These warrior mystics are often supported by highly destructive artillery weapons, imbued with the power of the storm. These warriors are known as the Guardians of the Soul, and play a vital part within the reforging process of a fallen Stormcast, and it's their duty to guide errant souls back to the anvil to complete their reforging process. As the Chamber Warriors enter the war for reality, led by Lord Arcanums, they bring with them the ferocity of the storm. Experts in manipulating spirit energy, making for the perfect weapon against the ethereal enemies which have appeared in Shyesh after Nagash's Necroquake. The Extremist Chamber are called when the battle hangs within the balance. This chamber consists of elite Stormcast warriors mounted atop either a Draconith or a hulking Stardrake. Even a single retinue of these warriors is often enough to turn the tides of battle in the Stormcast favour. However, when deployed in their entirety, they are truly a sight to behold, and are said to be the thunderbolt of devastation. These warriors were envisioned by both Sigmar and Dracothian, and they were created in reflection of the great bond the pair shared, the pairing of man and star beast. This creation was viewed as their answer to the greater demons, a force that could lead an attack from the front. Whilst originally planned for every Stormhost to have an Extremist Chamber, when Sigmar first threw the first of his mighty Stormcast into the mortal realms, not a single of these chambers was battle ready. Training mighty warriors such as these took time. However, the earning of the oaths of loyalty from the Draconiths and Stardrakes proved more difficult. It was the great Drake Dracothian, however, that managed to sway them, and in his urgency to get this new force running, the Drake visited Sigmaron, speeding the creation of the chamber with roaring bolts of celestial energies. At last, the first of the Extremist Chambers was able to join the fray, with the first being named the Hammer Draconis of the Hammers of Sigmar, and swiftly altered the tides of battle. Members of the Vanguard Auxiliary Chamber are referred to by their kin as the Rangers. They play a vital part for Sigmar's plans within the mortal realms. They are to locate and exploit weaknesses within the domains of his foes. Through their swift and sure actions, they lead the Stormcast in defeating armies which outnumber them many times over. Few have ever seen members of this chamber. They are ever roaming the realms, and as such they require warriors that can self-regulate and work independently. The Vanguard are granted far more independence than any other chamber, with their command structure being that of loose oversight rather than outright dictation. The celestial creatures are drawn to these Stormcast, with them often found mounted upon griff chargers that act as swift steeds. The Aetherwing Scouts are exceptional in their reconnaissance. These celestial birds gather vital information that is passed along to the Lords and Knights. The retinues of warriors are assigned to conclaves, which are divisions of each chamber that are able to train and equip their warriors. Each of these conclaves is dedicated to a role on the battleground. The Redeemers make up the main battle line troops, for they are both stalwart and unflinching, and the very core of the battle line within a Stormcast army, whereas the Justicar Conclave holds the supporting missile troops. These warriors are capable of seeking out weak points in enemy armour, and punish them with their storm-forged weaponry. With pinpoint precision they rain death. The Angelos Conclave is made of First Strike units. They will scout ahead of their kin and use their superior mobility to harass the enemy, thinning their ranks before the battle is joined properly. And of course the Paladin Conclave, forming the elite reserve units, and are often found where the fighting is thickest. Capable of taking on numerous enemies at a time, the Paladin is truly capable of taking on any foe. The first Stormhosts that were created are said to be the First Struck. These warriors have fought the forces of chaos longest within the mortal realms, and as such have a massive number of warriors that can be drawn upon by their leadership. These warriors have now fought in countless wars, with many of them having fallen and been reforged many times over. However, there are flaws within this reforging process, and many of these warriors are losing integral parts of their character with every pass over the anvil. The notable Stormhosts of the First Strike are as follows. Amongst all of the Stormcast Stormhosts, it's the Hammer of Sigmars that stand first amongst the God King's sights. These peerless warriors have become the defining image of the Stormcast. When Sigmar's peasant folk think of the Stormcast, it is to be assured that they picture the Hammers of Sigmar. Within the glorious cathedrals raised to Sigmar, to the packed taverns of the free cities, songs and tales are told of their magnificent deeds. The Hammers bear the title of the first founded, and were the first of the Stormhosts to be sent into the mortal realms. In Akshai, they battled against the Gortides of Korgus Kul, and after defeating the horde of Chaos Warriors, they reclaimed the first of the gates of Azure. Since they were struck into existence, the Hammers have been at war, and they are a mainstay at the frontiers, making them a rare sight within the free cities. This only seems to add to the mystique of these renowned warriors. As the first, the Hammers have access to near infinite resources when warring the forces of Chaos. Their main stronghold is known as Hammerhall. However, it's rumoured that the Hammers possess the most strongholds out of all of the Stormhosts. However, it wouldn't be hard to imagine. These are the warriors that have fought in most of the Dawnbringer Crusades than any of their kindred. The Hammers possess the largest of the extremist chambers. It's said that the children of Dracothian admire the Hammers for their unwavering valour. The Hammers have claimed to never have fled from a foe, for they fear nothing but to bring dishonour to the God King's chosen. However, members of the Hammers have become acutely aware of the reverence that the mortals of the realm hold for them, and with it the burden of responsibility that brings. Should they ever be defeated, they fear that Sigmar's people will lose hope in them, and the God King's efforts will eventually be for naught. So the Hammers continue to shoulder this incredible burden, achieving impossible victories through acts of sheer determination, often grievous at their own cost. Almost all of the Hammers have been through the reforging process twice, if not 3 times, and with it comes the toll of such a process. Some wonder behind these unshifting golden masks whether they are still human at all. Pain fades, scars heal, but honour and victory, these things may last until the unravelling of time itself. Severin Steelheart, Liberator Prime of the Hammers of Sigmar. Warriors clad in polished silver, it's the Hallowed Knights that are said to be the most faithful of all of Sigmar's chosen. These are the self-titled Crusaders, carrying the light of Azure into the darkest of realms. These warriors will endure any task given to them, to bring glory in the God King's name. None of the legions will fight with such fervour, for these souls were not the greatest of strategists, nor even warriors in their former lives. Many of these warriors were simple shrine keeps, healers and scholars. These were chosen for the strength of their faith. The power that is emitted from these zealots projects a protective aura, for they are Sigmar's shining blade, hurtling at the heart of the foul. During the battle, the Hallowed Knights chant glorious litanies of warding and protection, leading unclean energies to be nullified as it washes over them. Their battle cry of only the faithful is roared from each of the Hallowed Knights' throats before battle is met. They are truly the ultimate martyr, for they have sworn to uphold the first tenet of their order, that much is to be asked for those whom much is to be given, in death and beyond it. The Hallowed Knights have concentrated their efforts on the purification of the Gurish lands, for this is viewed as a mission that is worthy of their fanatical focus. For within this, the realm of the plague god Nurgle's forces have corrupted much of the land. Only the most stoic of Stormcast are capable of surviving forays into this terrible realm. The Knights are the most willing of all of Sigmar's forces to stand alongside their long-standing Sylvaneth allies, or that of the mortal folk of the free cities. Some, however, have begun to notice an almost obsessive pursuit of purity which has taken root within this Stormhost, with their champions often regarded as warrior saints, vessels of the will of Sigmar, who with flaming warriors will bring righteous fury down upon the foe. In an attempt to copy their heroic commanders, some line infantry are known to willingly don corrupt chaos treasures, believing that their celestial radiance can overcome the dark presence and eventually purify these dreadful trinkets. From the beginning of the era of the beast, there are some that have claimed they have heard the God King speaking directly to them, which has convinced entire chambers to march out with seemingly no strategic purpose. In hushed whispers, there are some that believe this could be a flaw within the reforging process, for on some occasions the Hallowed Knights have eradicated an evil before it's even began. It is not the horrors that I endured in the Plague Lord's domain that matter, nor the scars that they may have left, but the fact that I returned to fight on in the God King's name. My standing with you here, brothers and sisters, is proof that the dark powers can be defied. It is our honour, our burden as Hallowed Knights to embody that hope for all of mankind. Lord Celestin, guard us steel soul. The celestial Vindicators best embody Sigmar's divine wrath, for within their heart burns a white-hot hatred for the dark gods. Their loathing for chaos is nearly unmatched, and battle for these warriors is seen as an outlet to vent their endless rage. Warriors that form the Celestial Vindicators often have a bloody and tragic past, for within their mortal life, before they were snatched by Sigmar, these warriors cried out not for strength or salvation, but for vengeance, for one last chance to look the enemy in the eye before exacting their revenge. Sigmar would offer them all of this and more. Whilst the reforging of the Stormcast is truly a harrowing ordeal, those within the Vindicators must pass a secondary unique task. Each new Stormcast must pass through the fabled Strumdrang Gate, with little known about this black raging torrent of a portal, and the Celestial Vindicators certainly give little away about this either. However, what is known for certain is that any soul that lacks the purest passion for fury is obliterated as they attempt to pass through it. Those that do manage to pass through the portal earn the right to bear the Stormhost's name, for few can equal their wrath and line-breaking charges. These warriors do not pursue any of the subtleties of war. These warriors crash into the earth from the heavens or blaze burning trails across the skies ahead of the Dawnbringer Crusades. They will advance with a relentless aggression, and whilst they are tightly drilled and well disciplined, they are fueled by an overwhelming need to avenge their terrible pasts. Due to this, the Stormhosts favour tactics that will allow their warriors to engage their enemies quickly. Whilst the hammers of Sigmar caused the Stormcast to become renowned for their use of the warhammer, the Vindicators prefer the blade, seeing this as the perfect weapon to channel their rage through. Some of these Vindicators pay homage to the mysterious animus known as the Father of Blades, which was born of the steel spirits of the 12 dwarven forged rune swords which were gifted to Sigmar. Rumours are whispered of more fringed fraternities who seek out hopeless engagements to inflict as much misery on their hated enemies before their death, only to then be reforged to fight anew. These warriors perhaps see the flaws of the reforging, the loss of a person's character, as a step on the path to becoming Sigmar's perfect weapon. It's from within the Stormkeep known as the Fort Avenger that the Celestial Vindicators mark out their foes across the mortal realms. The echoes of the litanies of war boom from their halls, giving praise to Sigmar and inspiring their kin to become vessels of his rage. Some question our methods, say that we of the Celestial Vindicators go too far in the fight against corruption. To that I say walk 10 miles from Vidicarum's walls. Up upon the ruins the dark powers have wrought. Tell me then if the punishment we deliver is harsh enough. Lord Celestin Kostos Volkar. Few other Stormhosts can match the ferocity of an Astral Templar attack. Tribal warriors which take a savage joy in the pursuit of monstrous chaos beasts or even foul mega gargants, all proving worthy tests for these hunters to test their prowess against. For to slay one of these great beasts would bring much glory and honour to the God King. These warriors often appear adorned in exotic beast pelts, and much of their flesh is covered in intricate tribal tattoos and markings, for these warriors were taken from the near-feral tribes of humans. These humans were picked by Sigmar for legends that they carved out within the realm of Gur. They had long contended with the realm's massive beasts. These warriors have an incredible hunter's instinct, and whilst appear as brutish barbarians, have an acutely cunning intellect that has allowed them to bring even the wisest of Kraken-eater mega-gargants to the earth. The Vanguard auxiliary chambers make up a large portion of this Stormhost, leading the Stormhost's army to travel the realms. These warriors take great pride in their monster killing capabilities, but should they fall to a beast, will often set out alone after being reforged to exact their vengeance. The Astral Templars reside within the lodge keep such as the Templar Beast Hall, its walls decorated with the heads of beasts the Stormhost have slain. Deep within the wild in these lodge keeps, the Templars will conduct rites to give honour to the same totemic god beasts they did before being taken by the God King. Ynstrada is said to show much favour to the Astral Templars, with the Celestial Spear often appearing within their ranks, for it's said her savage soul is a kindred to those within the Templars' ranks. A worthy challenge has presented itself to the Astral Templars, as the destructive armies of Kragnos can no longer be ignored. So, these bog greenskins seek to grind the Amber Realm beneath their odious heel, do they? Ha! Very well. Let them match against Sigmar's own Beast Slayers, and we'll see where their presumptions get them. Belarus Kingslayer, Vanguard Hunter. The Anvils of Heldenhammer are warriors of a dark and brooding sort, and are known to be a particularly grim band of warriors. In their onyx black plate with bone-rattling trinkets fastened to it. For even before their reforging, these souls which were taken from the realm of Shayesh stood apart. Many long-dead souls were snatched by Sigmar to fight once more in battles seemingly unending. However, Nagash saw this and grew jealous of the God King claiming souls, which he saw as rightfully his to claim. Whilst it would be expected perhaps for warriors within this Stormhost to bear some resentment against their creator, it is in fact false. During their striking, some of the Six Smiths worried that if these warriors were to fall in battle, Nagash would be able to reclaim their souls and punish them for serving Sigmar. It was only when the first of these fallen warriors reappeared within the Anvil ranks that this falsehood was rebuked. This news spread rapidly amongst the Anvils, for death was no longer something to be feared, but to be studied and mastered, for the Anvils wished to use death as a weapon to be revered, as well as to strike fear into those opposing the God King's will. The Anvils have named themselves the Soul Guards, and take great pride in defending the lives and afterlives of Sigmar's people. Within their storm creep Morda, within the realm of Shayesh, it's within their catacomb shrines that seek to preserve the memory of the death gods which Nagash consumed. Many high-ranking Anvils serve amongst the high priests within the morbid cults which permeate throughout the Stormhost. On the battlefields, the Hammers utilise strategies that they have perfected over centuries. Their formations are known to be the tightest amongst the warriors of Sigmar, with such a close relationship with death granting the Anvils perfect clarity during these wars, for they have no fear of meeting their death once again. However, fear is certainly a weapon utilised by these warriors. Their armour with their rattling bone trinkets and leering skull-faced helms give even the most confident pause for thought. These warriors have ghostly white skin tones underneath their deathly armour, for the reforging process has taken its toll on this Stormhost, leading some mortal armies to surrender before the battle is even joined, horrified at the appearance of these Stormcast. It's the Ossiarch Bone Reapers which the Anvils hold a particular hatred for. They wish to raise a horrific undead empire in opposition for everything these warriors hold dear. When these two armies face off, the battles are said to be uncompromising. We will never take a step back, never relent. Such are the only things the God King asks of us. No matter if it takes a millennia, we will have our empire, and with it, our eventual peace. Lord Veritant Kaiser van Brecht. As the First Strikings, Stormhosts crashed across the mortal realms, seeking to undo the horrendous toll the tidal wave of chaos had exacted upon the realms, Sigmar planned to continue with his newfound momentum. His experiment of creating a new immortal army had worked. However, the God King required many more Stormhosts if he was to achieve his plans. Thus, the Second Stricking took place. These are some of the notable Stormhosts from the Second Stricking. The first created amongst the Second Struck were the Celestial Warbringers. These warrior seers were forged with the ability to foresee their own death. A mixture of warrior and wizard, they revelled in their pleasure of existence in their newly found forms as demigods. Booming laughter echoes across the battlefield as the Celestial Warbringers unleash their incredibly potent arcane energies on the foes of Sigmar. From their gauntlets, arcs of magnificent lightning explode into the enemy ranks. These warriors, egged on by one another to achieve ever greater magical feats, for they are a tight-knit breed, and the majority hailing from the same tribe. Whilst some may view the foreknowledge of their death as a horrific amount of information to possess, the Warbringers simply use this as confirmation of their immortality, and as they approach their final moments. For until that point, they will joyously throw themselves into seemingly hopeless positions, knowing that they will inevitably succeed and take great joy in each moment their immortality provides. Whilst many may look upon this cheer that is endemic through the Stormhost as odd, this renders the Stormhost less distant to the mortals of the realm than their kin. Within the port city known as Misthaven, the Warbringers watch over their charges and believe that denying mortal kind its harmless foibles is just as dangerous as giving them free rein over their vices. The Warbringers will only stop the most dangerous of substances from passing, and aside from this, are happy to allow the city to function to its own accord. Instead, they will tend to the beautiful realm gate known as Shardak's Gleam, within the storm keep known as the Scryer's Ark. It should be remembered, however, that for all the gentle handling which the Warbringers seem to give to humankind, they are dangerous and capable warrior seers. Masters of potent celestial energies, and it's said that Warbringer Masters, known as the Golden Patriarch, serves as Sigmar's prophecy teller. Such is the skill of this oracle. In times of war, the Celestial Warbringers are joined by members of the Sacrosanct Chamber, the Stormcast sorcerers channeling the storm's wrath to destroy the God King's enemies. There are patterns in all things. The passages of the heavens, the spray of blood on the battlefield, even the course of mortal lives. The ancients knew this, and the Warbringers keep their knowledge close. Master the patterns, and nothing is beyond your reach. Lord Arcanum Thaxtos Cabazar. The Knights Excelsior descend from the heavens, wreathed in lightning, to bring divine judgment to any that would defy the God King. In their wake, scorched corpses and broken landscapes are left as testimony to their uncompromising judgment of those found wanting. In their wake, scorched corpses and broken landscapes are left a testimony to their uncompromising judgment of those found wanting. Clad in ivory white armour, these angels tread the battlefield with an unwavering view of good and evil. These warriors will challenge chaos wherever it stands. The knights are the most willing of the Stormhosts to purge mortals for any act of small defiance. They do not, however, take any pleasure in such punishments, or take pity on those they punish. For the knights are charged to root out corruption wherever they might see it, and when one has considered the vast atrocities that mortal weakness has contributed to, this logic falls solidly in place. The Knights act as a unified force. The tenets of the Shining Lord come first and foremost, with these stating that each Stormcast is a link within Sigmar's chain of purpose, but this chain is only as strong as its weakest link. With this in mind, their training places focus on the group rather than the individual, and excellence is expected of each warrior. The vast exemplar chambers of the Knights Excelsior are known for the vast destructive power their paladins can cause, and it's not uncommon to see these chambers leading the charge. The stronghold of the Knights is known as Excelsior and is located on the coast of Tusks. This region has faced much destruction, with the Stormkeeps within the region nearly laid to waste. Many of the slain Stormcasts still await to be reforged. While some might attempt to chastise them from spreading themselves too thin, warring the forces of Kragnos that rage across the realm while seeking to root out the cultist cells that exist within 3 cities proves to be a priority. This does not trouble the Knights, for they are all enemies of the God King, and as such deserve only death. The Knights Excelsior remain within the mortal realms, either choosing to hold the gains that they have earned, or to join the Dawnbringer Crusades, blazing across the wastes of Gur. In hushed whispers, survivors of Knight Excelsior attacks speak of lone warriors. These warriors are clad in Excelsior white, with lightning pouring from the joints in their armour. The nature of these thunderous ones are mysterious, leading some to speculate that this is the next step within the reforging process. Pity is a viper, and entire empires have been brought down by its venom. Mortals croon for mercy's virtues, but show them the corruption that takes root in its shadows, and they soon change their tune. To pity our enemies is a grievous sin, and it is a sin which the Knights Excelsior refuse to be guilty of. The Shining Lord of the Knights Excelsior. The Tempest Lords descend on rolling clouds, their wings gleaming in the sunlight. These kings and empresses seek to embody Sigmar wills with every speech and deed. The Tempest Lords are of noble bloodlines, chosen from the ranks of Hyacian aristocracy. When their cities were besieged by the Chaos forces, they did not flee like cowards. Instead, they took up arms and led their people from the front. Assuming direct command of those that had sworn fealty to them, and such an act of nobility and charisma attracted Sigmar's attention, saving the worthiest to form high warrior monarchs. Their understanding of strategy and battlecraft is unrivaled. Before battle is joined, their plans are studied extensively. The Tempest Lords follow the teachings of the Spear Saint Mahinder. Such a figure is revered within the Stormhost. Some may mistake their need to analyse and amend plans as cowardice, simply seeking to delay the commencement of battles, but this couldn't be further from the truth. For upon their reforging, the Lords recalled that Sigmar gazed upon them and stated that each of these warriors were worth 12 of the foe. So the Lords have taken this as a challenge to be undertook. Those that fail to make their 12 kills before falling to be reforged will often feel great shame, often committing themselves to grueling acts of penance. The Tempest Lords favour aerial warfare, with members of the Harbinger Chambers consisting of much of their Stormhost's force. Carefully plotted arcs and formations of prosecutors deal death to Sigmar's foes, with blistering speed, often inspiring for those to look at. Many of the Tempest Lord Chambers are currently committed to the Dawnbringer Crusades. However, they also rule over the Hyacian capital, known as Settlers' Gain. The Lords are known to be firm but fool rulers. However, should an uprising spark, they will not run from committing regrettable deeds to maintain the peace that Sigmar demands of his free cities. The Lords of the Tempest Eye are far from the worst of clients. Generally, they know how to keep a contract better than their fanatical kin. Their requests even largely fall more on the mortal side, if one goes for that sort of thing. Still, canny captains should remember never to mistake those patient smiles for a lack of steel. Admiral Groxon of Barak Urbaz. That's a wrap on the Stormhosts that we know currently exist within the Stormcast Eternals. Do you have a favourite? Do let us know in the comments below, and if you did enjoy the video, please do give us a like and maybe even subscribe to the channel. Cheers!